Is it supposed to look like apple juice? Oh yeah, that's some good fuel right there. I'm gonna shoot a little brake clean in there though, try to wash out all the dirty shit from the bottom of the pan. Got the premium CarQuest filter on this one, but we're not gonna run synthetic in it because I couldn't afford synthetic. So we're just gonna put some CarQuest basic bulk into it, but it'll be cleaner than this black crap. Around here, if we need a battery, we have plenty of cars to choose from. There's one right there, perfect size and everything. Lack of fuel and keeping it running is from the fuel rail, or like this has fuel in it and it's all pressurized. The injectors might not be firing in general, but they're so dirty that I literally decided to just rip them out because they are like this one. Yeah, they're pretty gunged up, which I knew they would be, and I'm not like super surprised. I just figured the car was running, so it would run with these, but it probably pushed a bunch of shit up through the inject rail and everything. But this is the rail off of the parts motor that I got, but the injectors, like I said earlier, are different. I don't know why, I don't know where they came from or what, but you can see like right at the edge, the connector, that little tab is in it completely different between the two of them. But this looks like it has brand new O-rings on it. So what I'm gonna do is either clean these up and put the O-rings off of these on it, or I think I used to have parts way back. It'd be a miracle if I can find them, but well, had I known this from the start, I would have just done all this when the motor was out of the car. But here's another fuel rail. So now we got 3 of them. And then I also found these old guys in the basement that I had from probably 10 years ago. I had a Civic way back that I was trying to figure out why it was running rough. And I remember pulling injectors off it. I didn't know I had it, but digging through the basement, I found them all. That being said, though, they look like the same injectors, but they have the right connector on them. And I know I cleaned these up many years ago, but I'm thinking the seal's pretty dried out. Might end up double checking these and running these, though. That'd be ironic that parts that I've had sitting around for at least 10 years ends up fixing this car. But that's why I guess I don't throw anything away. They are pretty ugly, though, and there's no O-rings on them. But I think between having that set, the wrong set, and the old set, and 3 fuel rails, I can probably build a decent set. But yeah, that's really ugly. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to sand that all down. Yeah, I don't want to make this whole video about cleaning injectors and stuff, but so I ripped apart these ones and well, so on. These are the nice clean ones that I have. I'm pretty sure these are out of the red Civic because I would have cleaned another set and put them in the red Civic to try to get it to run better. So these are probably my original ones from my red Civic like 10 years ago. But they're cleaned up pretty good. And then these seals don't feel dried out. These were off the nicer injectors with different connectors on them. So I put all those seals on there. I greased everything. I was going to run one of these fuel rails because they're just look better and they're better shape by the looks of it. But I don't have a wrench. I think that's a 21. I don't have a 21 here. If I do, I can't find it. So I cleaned up Dad's fuel rail, and it's not the prettiest ever, but I cleaned all the crap out of the holes and ran a bunch of brake clean through it, and then blew a whole bunch of brake clean through it and held my finger over each hole, and everything came out perfectly fine. But yeah, now I'm gonna reassemble it all, put it back in the car, and see if it makes any difference at all. Even if it doesn't, this is something I knew one day was gonna happen one way or another. It's my own fault. Shit happens. When I connected these connectors, that middle one was just barely not plugged all the way in. So I ripped the fuel rail apart and distributor apart. Honestly, I didn't do a whole bunch of diagnosing. It was stuff that needed to come apart to some extent, especially after sitting in 3 years. I'm sure in the editing of this, you'll see what the injectors look like before I clean them out. And then the distributor was just general fact that there was a bunch of corrosion in the bottom of it, and I wanted to see how bad it was. I knew that it ran, but I figured for all the time it is, take those 3 bolts out, check what's going on in there. But yeah, so I just basically did all that and then decided to retrace my steps and check all the plugs. So that's what it was. It was the middle plug there. It wasn't sending pulse to the injectors, but everything else was working. I was getting full spark, and fuel pressure was perfect, but obviously one of the wires in that connector runs from the ECU and grounds out the injectors to cause them to pulse. But it runs. It's got a little bit of a misfire. I don't know if it's the old plugs that are in it or just general fact that there is literally no O2 sensor or a slew of other things. I'm sure just generally as I go through and tune it up a bit, it will probably lose that misfire, because it's not a misfire when it's like anything more than 1,000 RPM. It's only a misfire when it's like barely idling, so I'm not too worried about it at all. So this video was a little weird. I ended up just rebuilding a bunch of things that needed to be rebuilt one way or another, like the fuel rail, and the fact that it wouldn't start was basically just one clip not being clicked in all the way. But it runs and drives now. It runs actually really good, and the clutch works. Everything seems to be going through. The gear's perfectly fine. I've only been able to drive around the backyard a little bit. But the next video, I'm gonna start ripping into the interior. I intended on ripping into the interior this video, but now it's decided it wants to rain for a couple days. And if it's gonna rain for a couple days, I figured I'll once again edit this video together so at least it's released for the weekend, instead of just waiting next week and releasing it in the middle of the week just to get a little bit more footage. But yeah, I hope you stick around for the next video. Next one is gonna be definitely go through the interior, if not pull the whole interior out. And then I want to do the front brakes. It'd be really nice to do suspension stuff and just go through it and get the car ready to be driven down the road again. Got to build an exhaust for it too, because it's just open header right now with no O2 sensor. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at for this video, unfortunately, but something got done at least. The car is running. It was nice to actually see it run and hear it run and make sure everything actually worked properly. But yeah, hopefully you like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.